Hi, everyone. It's Leah Molnix here, and I am here with my publisher,
Timothy McCain. What's up, everybody?
and we are here talking about Dear God, Can You Hear Me?, which is being launched and released to you first week of June.
Yes, this book that Leah has coming out has really been birthed from a real place. I love working with people who has a heart to see lives transformed. People who realize that their tears are not their own, their cries are not their own, and they have a heart to see lives being changed. Can you tell us maybe where Dear God was birthed from?
Yeah. So, Dear God, the ministry platform itself was birthed out of a time where I felt like no one could hear me.
Mm,
I felt like no one could see me. I felt like everything I was doing fell on deaf ears. And I was like, you know what? I know God has given me a voice. I know that God has put things on my heart to say and that people need to hear. And so I began Dear God Ministries. Out of that, whenever I just started posting, right? I'm just posting things for people to see and be encouraged in every single day. And I'm just writing and writing and writing. And I never really thought there was a purpose
mm,
behind that. I never thought I was doing this for a specific reason. And then God just kind of stopped me in my tracks and he's like, hey, I've made you whole through this.
mm.
I've healed you. I've brought you out of this dark valley. And
Yeah.
now it's your turn to go heal someone else, to
Mm,
come alongside of them in their struggles and their pain and offer them hope.
come on. Leah, one of my favorite verses, it says, the sovereign Lord has given me an instructed tongue
Mm,
to know the word that sustains the weary.
mm.
Morning by morning, he wakens me. He wakens my ear to listen as one being taught. And I think that verse is so powerful. Just even understanding that we serve a God who not simply wants to speak to us,
Right.
but to speak through us with
Yeah.
what? A word that will sustain the weary. And
Right.
your book is so
Mm,
masterfully written, y'all. The book is so incredible.
mm.
I just remember cheesing from cheek to cheek while reading her manuscript. And I'm like in awe. But one thing I'm so excited about is the lives are going to be changed
Mm.
in a world and a society where even in our church culture at times where authenticity and transparency
Yeah.
is frowned upon.
Right.
I believe this book is going to be an antidote to someone else's forgottenness, a
Yeah.
place where it's going to highlight for them to remember that God sees them and it's okay to be honest with the Lord and allow them to navigate them through their pain.
Yeah.
What would you tell the reader, the potential reader, while they're reading this book, who may have felt that they have maybe lived in a place where their feelings, where they have disvalued their feelings?
Right. Right. I would say for so long, these are all questions that the chapters, as you'll read them, they're pretty raw. There's a chapter called Dear God, I Feel Numb. And I remember writing these chapters, again, never intending to post them or let anyone see them. It was honest. And I was raised in a church. I was raised not like you can't have feelings, but maybe those feelings and those real emotions, it makes you feel like you're not Christian enough, right? Like maybe the answer is, well, you have to have more faith. And for me during that season, you have to have more faith wasn't the answer, right? And it wasn't enough for me to get out of that hurt and the spiritual struggling. And so as the readers start reading this, I hope it's an invitation
Yeah.
to become raw, to become honest, to become vulnerable, and know that that's not a lack of faith. It's actually
Uh-oh.
an intimacy.
Come on.
It's actually coming to the place of healing. It's actually allowing yourself to grow in your faith. Um, so I hope that when the readers read this, it's more of an invitation to become more honest about what they're feeling and not be scared to say them, think them, pray them, and search in God and in the truth for the answers and the healing.
So good. I
Mm.
think you hit the nail on the head about just it's not a lack of faith,
Right.
right? It's not a lack of faith. Like we serve not just a God a far way off. We serve a Father that desires intimacy with us. Like
Hmm.
I'm a daddy. Nick, her husband, her husband is so amazing. Nick, shout out to you, bro.
Yeah.
You're the real deal. But even watching him father his daughter yesterday when she needed something, when she was
Mm.
going through something, if she even the big
Yeah.
emotions children and toddlers feel, she ran to her daddy. She ran
Yeah.
to you, of course, but I watched as she ran to her dad
Yeah.
and to comfort her, to
Wow.
be with her in those big feelings.
Yes.
And even when you read Psalms 22, I just grabbed my phone just because it just reminds me of this. Her book is just so powerful. But it's David is being raw, honest. He says,
Mm.
my God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you far from saving me? So far from my cries of anguish. My God, I cry out to you by day, but you do not answer. By night, I found no rest. But then he says, yet you are enthroned as a holy one. You are the one that Israel praises. In
Yeah.
you, our ancestors put their trust. They trusted you and delivered them, and you delivered them. To you, they cried out and were saved, and you, they trusted and were not put to shame. So all throughout Psalm 23, you can see David speak his truth,
Mm-hmm.
but reminded of God's promises.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
this book, Dear God, Can
Yeah.
You Hear Me? It's not a book where it's just simply her just pouring out her anguish before the Lord. It's a transactions that takes place
Yeah.
where you are reminded of God's faithfulness, God's goodness. But one thing that the prerequisite for these encounters is honesty.
Right. Right. For sure.
Right?
Well, and I think there's actually a chapter in my book called My Life is Like a Psalm. And I remember I was daily reading Psalms, and you see this struggle and this tension where there's real feelings. But at the end of most Psalms, with the same mouth, David is saying, but I trust you.
Yeah.
But I honor you, but I'm going to follow you. You will always be my Lord. And I'm reading Psalms. I'm like, man, this is our daily life, right? We all struggle. It's just hard to say it out loud.
Yeah.
And so, to be honest, like David, right? It's being honest before the Lord, being bare before the Lord, and letting him see your heart in full. That is the place that he can bring restoration. That's the place that he can bring healing. And I think he can bring springs of life for other people, right? Just like David, how all his words speak to us and we can find ourselves in him. When we get honest, when we get vulnerable and we begin to share what we're actually feeling, the tension we're actually stuck in, I think other people can start to see how God is renewing, restoring, and healing us, where maybe it's going to invite them also to do the same thing.
Bars. Absolutely. Absolutely. Dear God, Can You Hear Me? Is coming out very soon. Um, can I spill the beans? Actually, no, I don't want to take your thunder. I'm just so excited about it. Can you spill the beans, please? When is it coming out?
When is it coming out? This book, Dear God, Can You Hear Me? It is coming out first week of June. I'm so excited on all platforms.
Come on.
So ebook if you're a Kindle reader, and then also physical copies, and you're gonna be able to order it on Amazon.
Come on.
That's nuts to me, but it is coming out really soon. I am so excited to get it in your hand, and for it to meet you where you are at. Or maybe you're listening to this video and you're like, I know someone who needs that.
That's right.
And that's what we're supposed to do, right? Is meet people where they're at and help them get through life's hard struggles.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Dear God, Can You Hear Me? Is a phenomenal book. I believe it's going to mark the lives of so many people. People who's going to read it and feel like, man, someone gets me, but also going to understand that there's a God who desires them just the way that they are.
Yeah.
With the scars, with the ups, with the accidents, with the regrets, with the real raw emotions. That we serve a God who desires for us to come to me, all you're heavy laden, and I will give you rest.
Yeah.
Right? That's how good our God is. So, man, Leah wrote a phenomenal book. There's so much coming out in the future. And I don't want to spill the beans too soon, but y'all buckle up. This woman of God is called, anointed, appointed for such a time as this. God is raising her up as a voice to the masses, as well as the intimate conversations of the one-on-one. I am so blessed to be able to meet her and meet her husband and family, and I just cannot wait to see all that God is going to do. Dear God, Can You Hear Me? Y'all buckle up, because it's going to change lives.